Okay, Mr. Shiner, we now are live on YouTube, so you may proceed with the beginning of the meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Conway. I'd like to call to order the August 25th, 2020 meeting of the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Regular Board Meeting. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, let's go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Christy, I think we're ready for roll call.
All right, Mr. Shiner.
Here.
Mr. Sarnice.
Present.
Ms. Beveridge.
So a thumbs up for Mrs. Beveridge.
Okay. Ms. Bretz.
Here.
Ms. Cavalier Rodriguez. Ms. Sioka.
Here.
Mr. Feldbush.
Here.
I did hear a here, Christy.
Mr. Jones. Mr. Kendris. Mr. Leonard. Ms. Maines.
Here.
Ms. Mock. Ms. Schmidt.
Here.
Mr. Schrock. Ms. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Thomas. Ms. Urban. 9 present, 8 absent.
Very well. Thank you. Prior to this evening's meeting, the board has met in executive session on legal and personnel item and some contractual issues. All right, now it's open for comments from citizens on agenda items, but prior to the meeting, we have received no comments from the public, so there are no comments to go over. So that'll move us on to approval of minutes. I would need a motion and a second for approval of the minutes for the August 13th, 2020 meeting.
So move, Feldbush.
Second, Schmidt.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? If not, we'll have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, then we're on to financial reports. We have the treasurer's report, the payment of bills, ratification of investments. I'd like to have a motion and a second for approval of these financial reports.
So moved, Maines.
Second, Sioka.
Very well, thank you. Is there any discussion on any of these reports? Hearing none, I'd like to have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Sarnice.
Yes.
Ms. Beveridge.
Yes.
Ms. Bretz.
Yes.
Ms. Sioka.
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush.
Yes.
Ms. Maines.
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Shiner.
Yes.
9 yeses, motions carried.
Okay, very well. Now we're on to committee reports. The first one is executive services, and I again would like to express my appreciation for all the hard work that's going into getting our schools opened up and providing all the services that the WIU provides. And it's been a real challenge this year. And I'm really pleased with all the plans that we're going through. Uh, I'm very hopeful that we can get into this school year without finding that we're dealing with much COVID. I personally believe that the measures that are being put in place should be effective, but we'll obviously have to see how it all goes. So with that, I don't have anything more to say, except good luck to all involved with Westmoreland Intermediate Unit. Curriculum services. Sue, do you have any comments?
I just echo your comments. I wish everybody good luck for the start of the school year, and hope everything goes much better than last year. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Sue. Financial services. Bill, do you have anything to add?
We had a brief meeting today with Luzio and Company discussing the upcoming audit. Jeff Anzavino, I think is his name. The audits for the year 2019, 2020. They're going to try to do it by electronic means, remote as best they can. And it will be a test basis type examination. They plan to start in September. Sorry for that call.
Very well, thank you. Student services. Sharon's chairman, but I think Heather's here. Are there anybody you want to make any comments about student services? All right, if not, there's no report. Technology and infrastructure services, Bill Leonard is not here. Gretchen's here, but I suppose there's probably not a report tonight. All right, very well. So we'll move on to the executive director report. Dr. Conway.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And thank you again for the board's continued support in passing our health and safety plans on August 13th. As a result, we were able to fully implement our start of year procedures in preparation for this very unusual start of the school year. We held 2 in-service days for teachers on the 19th and 20th of August, where teachers came in socially distanced and scheduled apart, receiving their equipment from computers, big screen monitors for them to be able to teach remotely if necessary, as well as webcams, microphones, everything that they're going to need to be able to provide in-class instruction, as well as supplies for our itinerant positions. The staff, the supervisory staff, the administrative team did an outstanding job of preparing our professional staff, for what is to come for this school year. And we cannot also forget to thank the numerous support staff members that assisted in getting ready for the school year, from preparing go kits for itinerant teachers that would have masks and paper towels and the like. It truly was a team effort here over the last 2 weeks to get everything ready and rolling for the upcoming school year. We are very excited. We will be opening Clairview to students tomorrow. And we're very excited and very prepared. What has been very evident over the last few months is the resiliency that our leadership team and our staff has exhibited throughout this. And we know that we are going to survive this and continue to thrive during and after this for sure. One thing that was a great success over the last 2 weeks is we did hold an early intervention town hall meeting. We had a number of parents and staff join that, where we were able to answer all of those questions that people posed. We had a lot of folks that would ask very specific questions, and we were able to take those specific questions, be able to create larger scope answers to that. So it satisfied as many people that had questions. We were able to provide them with answers. And if they had follow-up answers, they were encouraged to contact us, and we continue to work with parents in all age levels, with their concerns. And Dr. Thomas, thank you to your leadership, in making all of our programs, from our campus programs, the detention center, to the prison, to our SLPs out in the field at districts, to our non-pubs, to our own Clairview school, to partial hospitalization. Thank you for your leadership. Is there anything that you wanted to add to the opening day exercises as part of my report?
Just one brief thing, Dr. Conway. Thank you. It's an honor to serve. It's an honor to lead, and it doesn't happen without a very skilled team that I am pleasured and honored to work with. One comment that was brought up in the special meeting, and this was regarding the virtual town hall, was the fact that we didn't want any questions to go unanswered. So when parents would email, to Dr. Conway's point, we did send back a 2-sentence response saying, please join us for the town hall. The question you're asking will be answered in general terms, because it allowed us to control a narrative and the ability to answer the questions with depth rather than answer customized questions times the number of parents we had. And we found a lot of success in that. So even post the virtual town hall, that link has been shared with our staff as well as parents. And we will continue to push that out as parents have more concerns of our established procedures and policies in that program. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Thomas. And unfortunately, Mr. Vaughn was not able to join us this evening, but a very special shout out to Eric and his team who prepared just the hundreds of pieces of equipment that needed to be distributed over the last 2-3 weeks. Just an incredible amount of technology that was needed, prepared, just an incredible. And so special thanks goes to Mr. Vaughn, in getting that equipment out, and Gavin Dunlap, as well as Lynn Weir, as part of that large team. And so connecting to that, we do have the second part of my executive director's report is we wanted to share with the board some information about the explosion of e-Academy growth and equipment purchases that are necessary to support that program. As you can imagine, we have many districts who are dealing with students potentially leaving to go to cyber charter schools. And luckily, due to the hard work and who we refer to as the godfather of e-Academy, who had this vision, Tim Hamill, back many, many years ago of what online learning could look like in the county. It's that vision that has been implemented. And we are very blessed to have a very special guest with us this evening, Mrs. Rebecca Henderson, who is our distance learning supervisor, who has been 24/7 nonstop for months now in answering questions and proposing solutions for districts, because our districts are really counting on e-Academy to help them through this. And we've invited Becky to join us to give kind of an update. So before we have Becky share some information, Tim, is there anything that you want to add to set Becky up?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Conway. The main thing, first of all, we knew coming into this time of year that there was going to be an impact on our e-Academy line of business. And we just didn't know what it would look like. And we strategized for most of this summer, thinking about the scenarios and what might play out and how it might turn out. And even today, today is actually the first day that instruction has taken place in e-Academy, we are still unsure as to exactly where we're going to land on all of this. But what we can tell you is that the word explosion that Dr. Conway used is very apropos. We are today sitting at only 700 course enrollments short of our entire enrollment for all of last year on day one of instruction. So, and it's not stopping. We had 800 enrollments just in the last day. So there's a lot going on, exponential growth. It is impacting our approach because we're not used to having this many students all at the same time. And I'm going to let Becky tell you a little more here in a moment about why some of this is happening. But one of the things we did want to share with you is that as part of doing business, we actually use equipment for students, laptops, MiFi devices, and so on. And so with the exponential growth comes a need for more equipment. And we are going to be needing to purchase to accommodate the need and provide the service approximately 300, not approximately, we are going to need to order at this time 300 new machines. They're all almost at this point all spoken for, and will all go out into active duty. And before we get too worried about cost involved there, yes, there is an outlay of cash to purchase those, but each one of those machines goes to work for us. They pay for themselves within a school year, and then they continue to generate revenue during their lifetime. So there's typically a 3-year lifespan on those machines. And so we can expect 2 years of clear revenue generated by each one of those machines. So we will get that money back in the long run and then some. So it will do a great business for us as well. Super excited about the work that's going on. And I'm going to stop here and turn it over to Becky because she has some exciting developments to share with some of the interactions we've had with our districts in this crazy time. Becky, I'll turn it over to you and you can have the floor.
Thanks, Tim. And thank you, Dr. Conway, for inviting me. Thank you, everyone, for having me this evening. I'm very excited to be here and to be sharing what's going on with eAcademy. For a little context, at the start of last school year, we had just over 300 students enrolled into our courses, and that totaled to about 1,100 individual course enrollments. Each student tends to take multiple courses, so they take anywhere from 4 to 7 courses per student. Right now, as of the last set of numbers that I ran before I joined the meeting, we are at 695 students with 4,100 course enrollments for the start of the year. Tim, I know you shared some numbers with your report, and they just are continuing nonstop. I will see enrollments.
Even an hour after having talked to Becky. So
I know. I will continue to see enrollments all the way up until the time I go to bed later on tonight. They will start coming in early in the morning. So it is a constant stream. And a lot of that is because our districts are now looking at new and innovative ways to use eAcademy for their students. Traditionally, in the past, when a student has expressed an interest in taking on any sort of cyber learning or online learning, most districts try to make sure that students are just not going to a cyber charter, that they're staying in-house, doing what we can. A lot of our students also will start looking at maybe more of a blended option. Maybe they take some of their classes physically in the building and they take a couple other online because they can't fit them into their schedules, or they work halfway through the day, one of those circumstances. However, this year, we are seeing students completely enrolling 100% full-time because our districts are trying to make sure that local students stay with their school districts. So 2 great examples of this actually are Norwin School District, and then outside of the county, Punxsutawney Area School District as well. I'm going to start with Punxsy because they're our newest consortium member. We're really excited to have an out-of-county school district joining us, realizing the benefits from eAcademy. They have used us as a non-consortium member for the past 3 years and decided they want to join the consortium this year. They do have a long-term strategy to have their teachers start building out courses as well for their students. But when the shutdown occurred, Punxsy decided that any student that wanted an online option would automatically enroll into an eAcademy course. To date, we are looking at over 270 students from Punxsutawney taking full-time courses with us online because of that commitment. Norwin also had an incredibly innovative approach to making sure that not only were students receiving a high quality online education, but also that we were expanding our course offerings. Through our partnership with our sister intermediate unit, Capital Area IU, we have access to vendor created content through their CAOLA program, Capital Area Online Learning Association. We really like the content from the vendor Accelerate Education. Not only do they have engaging and interactive content, but it is incredibly thoughtful in its development, in its accessibility for all learners, regardless of any needs that they may have. And the structure and the alignment really matches about as closely as possible to what a school district would create if they were building out their curriculum and aligning it to PA Core and PA academic standards. So when Dr. Taylor and I had a conversation about what we could do through eAcademy and our eAcademy Plus program, he wanted to provide additional access to Accelerate Education's courses through eAcademy Plus. So we have been spending the past few weeks helping to build out that side of the program as well, bringing on additional teachers so that they can offer up these courses and making sure that we are enhancing and actually expanding our course offerings to all students K to 12. This is going to be a very large increase at the K to 5 level because currently we don't build out our own K to 5 content. Just logistically, it's something that we want to make sure that we're very intentional about, and we don't want to do that quickly. So it's better to use a vendor that has a very strong reputation for that program. So we have 2 districts that really are taking the lead on this, and a lot of those enrollments that I talked about are coming specifically from those 2 districts, although we are seeing enrollments from almost all of our districts now that use eAcademy. In addition to that, when we started thinking about what the impact was going to be, knowing that there was going to be an influx of students, one of the things we wanted to talk about was class sizes in a virtual learning environment. There's no sweet spot as far as the research is concerned as to what the student to teacher ratio should be. However, the national average is 47 students to 1 teacher. We felt that that was too large of a class size, and we didn't want students to feel lost in a gigantic class of students. So instead, our class sizes are set at 25 students for 1 teacher. If a teacher wants to teach more than that, we create a second section of the course so they don't have 50 or 100 students in one specific course. This feels more like period 1 English, period 2 English. Same class being taught in separate sections. Again, to keep those class sizes smaller, to make sure that students are able to collaborate with each other, to make sure the teacher is able to dedicate their time specifically to an individual group of students. And as I said, because we now have this influx of courses coming in through eAcademy Plus, we now are able to offer over 400 full year and semester courses to all of our students. So all of the work that our team has been doing is in making sure that we are keeping class sizes small, providing teachers with an opportunity to instruct as often as they can and in as comfortable of a manner as they can. And we really are just so proud of our team at the IU for everything that they're doing, and for our teachers as well, for stepping up and really committing to providing an amazing experience for all of our students, regardless as to where their home district is.
Becky, I want to add to that, that you mentioned the team, and Becky has been an incredible leader through all of this, and but she also has great people working with her. The entire
Absolutely.
curriculum services team it's been a group effort, team effort for sure. But some of the folks in the background who are working, people like Rachel Barner, our eAcademy clerk, Sue Soltis, who's our instructional designer, Dave Regula, who is our technology side of things and does all of our help desk work. Gavin, who we mentioned earlier, is working on all tech fronts. So it's truly a team effort. And those teachers that Becky mentioned, with your approval tonight, Becky, we are, correct me if I'm wrong, we're at about 128 teachers.
That's right, 128 teachers.
As of your approval tonight, of the teachers who are on the agenda. So we have quite a staff, and we're very proud of what they're doing. And I could not be more proud of where we are in this process. I like to think that we have spent the last 12 years of working with the Academy to prepare for right now. And we are truly fitting the bill for the need of our districts. And very proud of that, very proud of the team. And Becky, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Conway.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you, Tim, and thank you, Becky, for your continued hard work as we continue down this path of what this school year is going to look like. So we know that the whole team is working tirelessly. And one last shout out goes to Lynn Liu, who makes sure that we have all the right monies in the right place to be able to do all the things that we're able to do. So
You're here.
as you can see, it truly has been a team effort across the whole administrative team. Well, with that, Mr. Shiner, unless there are questions, that will conclude the executive director's report for this evening.
I do have a quick follow-up on this discussion I'd like to discuss quickly with Tim and Rebecca. First of all, thank you for all of your very hard work, because I thought what you described was a distinct possibility with this school year. And I thought that the E-Academy could play a great role in dealing with the challenges we face with COVID-19. But I guess it's such a topsy-turvy year in a number of ways. If you look at Westmoreland County as a whole, and all of the about 17 school districts that we have, they're all faced with how are they going to educate their students. And that's falling down to being choices of fully online or a hybrid, or some fraction of the students are in classes. In my opinion, any of the above three is eligible to take a course through the E-Academy. But what worries me is emails that I've received from parents in the Franklin Regional District indicate that they were not so satisfied with online courses last spring, and that if they think online courses are what they want to pursue for their children, and then they might be going to a cyber charter school, which they consider to be somebody that has experience and knows how to do online education. To which I respond, but we have an E-Academy. The E-Academy's been doing this for a long time. And we have teachers in the E-Academy that are working in your districts already, and they know your districts, and they know how to educate kids in the classroom. They know how to educate kids online. So could you provide me at least an opinion on how we're doing? Do you get any feedback as to, are we losing students in Westmoreland County and maybe in Punxsutawney to cyber charter schools, or are we winning this battle?
Well, I'll start, and I'll also ask Becky to chime in on this too. But one thing you brought up that I think is really important to reiterate here is that concept that families got of online learning during the months of March, April, and May, because schools had to scramble to continue education. It brought what parents perceived as online learning into their homes. However, that was a Band-Aid. That was not online learning as we know it, as we produce through E-Academy. So there's a bit of a discrepancy between what parents think online learning is based on what they learned through March, April, and May, and what they would experience if their students were enrolled in an E-Academy course full time. Becky, your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree, Tim. What we engaged in at the end of the school year was what I like to call emergency remote learning. There was no prep, there was no setup for this. Everyone had 2 weeks to figure it out. And I will be the first to say that our teachers did an amazing job given the circumstances. Most of our teachers do not understand instructional design for online learners. They don't understand how to effectively provide direct instruction to students in a virtual format. And that's not their fault. It's just something that's not explicitly taught to teachers. So if it's something that you've never done before, you're going to do your best. And when you think about it in that context, what our E-Academy teachers have been doing for 12, 13 years is vastly different than what everyone was doing at the end of last school year. So I think it's important to have that conversation with parents and community members so that they understand that. Just from a personal standpoint, my sister-in-law reached out to me and she said that she was considering homeschooling her children for next school year because she didn't like what happened and she didn't like the LMS that occurred and she didn't like the way that students had to interact with their teachers because it all felt very rushed. And I had this same conversation with her and I said, please know that what happened really was a Band-Aid. We were trying to make sure that we could connect with students as quickly as possible and survive the rest of the school year. But what's going to happen next year is going to be vastly different because now we have time to plan and be intentional in our instruction. And I think that moving forward, when you look at districts and what they're doing with their teachers, the training that is being provided, the thoughtfulness that goes into developing courses for synchronous learning opportunities, asynchronous learning opportunities, whether it's something that a district wants to provide on their own or they want to work with us to provide that. The more intentional and the more thoughtful it is, the more successful those districts will be in making sure that students stay in their home district. And I know that takes a lot of time and effort to do, but I also know that many of our districts are doing it because they don't want to lose their students. They want to keep them home. They want to help them. They have that local connection. Really, as a teacher, our students are an extension of our family. We don't want to lose them. We don't want to see them go away.
I couldn't agree with you more about your observations about how things went last spring. And I've been serving on an instructional task force in Franklin Regional, and I hear our teachers saying the same things. They were thrown into it, and there were things they would do in their classrooms that they just weren't able to do very effectively last spring. And they're committed, strongly committed to making improvements. And I know in Franklin Regional, we're going to a learning management system, which they have great expectations will help teachers be able to do their jobs more like they did it in the classrooms, even though there are online situations that they're going to have to use to teach. And so what's the interface like between the E-Academy, where there is a great deal of experience with this, and helping our teachers who are jumping into this with every great intention I could ever imagine, and they really want to do the very best for the students. And do we have a good working relationship? Or are they tuned into what experiences you can help them with?
Absolutely. And one of the districts that I want to give a shout out to is Kiski. They have a large number of teachers that have been part of E-Academy from day one. And when the shutdown occurred, administrators at Kiski had the forethought to say, okay, let's set up weekly PD opportunities for our teachers that are run by teachers that have experience in these areas. And many of our E-Academy teachers were actually delivering those sessions to other staff members so that they could work together and become a community of educators helping to get through the crisis at the same time. So teachers would take different topics such as how to provide engaging videos, what type of content you should share, how to run a synchronous session, how to set up assessments, all these different elements that can be overwhelming when you have to figure it out on your own. They were doing that every week and providing that information to their teachers. And I know a lot of our other districts were doing that as well.
I would add to that it for districts to find success in this, it does take a strategic approach. And Becky mentioned the success that Kiski has had, and I would attribute that success to the strategic planning that they have done, not just in the last year, but in the last 5-6 years of working on developing their capacity to do this. It doesn't happen overnight, but they have engaged with us on a regular basis to train teachers to get things where they need to be. And that's where that success comes from. So it does take strategic approaches from the individual district to have success with this.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to tell me which districts are good at this and which districts are not so good at this, but what I will ask you to do is be active, interactive with all of our districts. to help them take advantage of the lessons you've learned over the past 12 years in the E-Academy. And I know a number of E-Academy instructors come from each of our school districts. So hopefully they're there already to help spread the good news around on how to do it. But clearly our teachers want to do a great job, but they're a little nervous going in and doing this, knowing that last spring was rough for everyone, them and the students as well, and trying to really make this thing work well. And the real benefit is when you can use this synchronous / asynchronous approach where the teachers and the students get enough time together where the teacher can give good feedback back to the students. It's not just, here's the lessons for today and there's a test on Friday. You take the lessons, you take the test, and then you're done and you move on. There's a lot more to what great teachers are doing these days than that. And so good luck with it. It's really an important thing to do right now. We're really dependent upon it.
Thank you for your support on it. We
Thank
do
you very
greatly
much.
appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on the E-Academy? Okay.
Yes, Paul, I'm sorry, I was muted and didn't know it. I have two questions. Number one, can we get a list by districts, the number of students that are participating in the academy?
I know we can produce that, I'm sure. We don't typically parse them out that way, but Becky, you'd be able to provide that, right?
Yes, I can do a report like that.
Okay. And the second part of that question is I'd like to get a list, not names, just the numbers of teachers from the districts associated with that also.
We can do that as well.
Okay.
We'll share that out with the board as soon as we have that together.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it's important to know. This way we'll know who's participating and who's pushing it and everything else like that. So it would be very interesting.
Yeah, so Mr. Sarnes, Tim and Becky will produce that report, send it to me, and then I will make sure that it is distributed to the board.
Okay, and I have it by lunchtime? I'm sorry. That's a joke.
I guess I'll throw in another, I would say request, but I'd rather make it a thought than a request, is I'd love to know how many of our students we've lost to cyber charter schools. So I don't know how you would have any ability to get that information, but in going forward, it would be something I'd like to try to keep some awareness of.
It's certainly something we'd like to know too. I think it's too early for us to ask that of our districts as of this moment. I think it's still very fluid as they're beginning and as they're starting up. So it's perhaps something we can look at garnering from our districts in maybe mid-September to late September, once schools have actually engaged and they know where students are. But we will, that's of great interest to us as well.
But it could also change at the end of the various grading periods. With
Absolutely, it always does.
To come back,
Mhm.
for example.
It does.
It'd be nice to try to keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening there, but I'm not sure I have a good way of knowing how to do it.
Yeah. It's tough to track. It is.
All right.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Okay, Jason, do you have anything further under the executive report?
I do. That concludes my executive director's report for this evening.
All right, let us move on to WIU Foundation. I know Bill Leonard's not present with us tonight, and so I don't think we have a meeting report there. Then on to correspondence and old business. There are no new items to go over there. And that gets us down to item 10 on the agenda of Human Resource Services. Under this item, we have several items to approve. We have HR 2021 TAC 1 through HR 2021 TAC 10. Are any of these items an item that any of our members would like to pull for discussion? Okay, if not, I'd like to request a motion and a second to approve these 10 items.
So moved, John Sarnes.
Second, Feldbush.
Very well. It's been moved and seconded to approve these 10 items. So Christie, could we take a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Beveridge,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Seoga,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Mrs. Maines?
Yes.
okay. Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes?
Mr. Sarnes.
Yes.
9 yeses, motion's carried.
Very well, thank you. Now we'll move on to curriculum services. There are 6 items here. Items CS 2021 TAC 1 through CS 2021 TAC 6. Are there any items to be pulled for further discussion? Okay, hearing that there are not, I'd like to request a motion and a second for approval of these 6 items.
So moved, Maines.
Second, Schmidt.
Very well, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve these 6 items. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'd like to proceed, Christie, with a roll call vote.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Mrs. Seoga,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner, Mr. Shiner,
Oh, yes.
Mr. Sarnes,
Yes.
Ms. Beveridge,
Yes.
9 yes, motion's carried.
All right, very well, thank you. That moves us on to item 12, financial services. Here we have one item FR 2021 TAC 1, and it includes financial information. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, I would like to request a motion and a second to approve this item.
So moved, Sarnes.
Second, Sioka.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve item FR 2021 TAC 1. Christie, it's a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Seoga,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes?
Mr. Sarnes,
Yes.
Ms. Beveridge,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
9 yes, motion carried.
Very well. Move on to agenda item 13, student services. Here there are 4 items to be discussed. Items SS 2021 TAC 8 through SS 2021 TAC 11. Does anybody wish to pull any of these items for discussion? Okay, hearing none, I would like to request a motion and a second for approval of these 4 items.
So moved, Phil.
Motion Schmidt. Second Schmidt.
Very well, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve these 4 items under student services. Again, Christie, I'd like to request a roll call vote.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes?
Mr. Sarnes,
Yes.
Ms. Beveridge,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka.
Yes.
9 yes, motion's carried.
Okay, very well. Item 14, technology and infrastructure services. There are no items. That gets us to item 15 on school board.
Excuse me, Mr. Shiner. In that first section, it should actually say to approve SB 2021-001 through SB 2021-003.
All right. I'm just looking at the agenda real quick to. I'm a little confused there, Christie.
I must have printed my copy out prior to it being corrected because we added an item. So I apologize. It is reflected already.
Let me see. I'm looking at it, probably an old copy here. Yes, I see there's a new item.
Yes.
So the first item is the telework second read. The second item is the memorandum of understanding that we discussed within executive session around unpaid leave and paid time off. And then the third item is the MOA and release that was also discussed in executive session and was added today at 3:25 p.m.
Okay, that explains it. I printed up my copy of the agenda this morning. So, and then I was using the agenda manager listing. My copy didn't catch up. So thank you for noting that.
No problem.
All right, so let's move ahead. These are several school board items that Dr. Conway just described. And again, there are 3 of them. SB 2021, item 1 through item 3. Does anybody wish to pull any of these for further discussion? If not, I would like to request a motion. And
So
a second
moved,
to approve
Sarnes.
these items.
Second Sioka.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve these 3 items. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Christie, please proceed with a roll call vote.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes?
Mr. Sarnes,
Yes.
Ms. Beveridge,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush.
Yes.
9 yes, motion's carried.
Okay, very well. Now we're on to agenda item 16, board policy, first readings. And I will note that there are a lot of them. And if you didn't read every word of every one, I'm not surprised. However, I guess I would like to make an observation, and obviously, Dr. Conway, you can add in or correct me where I'm wrong, but in my review of all of these first reading items, I believe they're basically existing policies that have been updated due to recent issuance of changes to similar policies or the same equivalent policies that are promulgated from the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, PSBA. And it looked to me like all of the PSBA policy that have been received basically from June until August of this year. So these are updates that bring all these up to the latest and greatest wording. And clearly there was a lot of thought given to COVID-19 and its implications. So did I get that right, Dr. Conway? Or
You did, Mr. Shiner. Most of these policies, PSBA updates due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the Title IX sexual harassment updates from the federal government and regulations are also reflected in many of these. These are all existing policies that have been updated to reflect those two items specifically.
all right, since these are first readings, we won't be voting on them tonight, but if anybody has any comments or that they'd like to make or any criticisms or other insights on these policies, please go ahead and do that now. All right, I don't hear any additional comments or feedback, so that constitutes.
I'm sorry, are these only? Is this it? I don't mean that in a joking manner. Is this all of them?
So,
Are these? Yeah.
So, Mrs. Beveridge, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think the gist of what I heard you say is, are these all of the first reads in terms of what has been shared with PSBA to make sure that they're updated? Yes, this is correct. One that was fast-tracked and added to the August 13th meeting was the telework procedures, because we wanted to make sure that that second read got finished tonight with school starting tomorrow for students. So you take this set plus the telework 309 that was a second read for this evening, and those would be all of the updates from PSBA from June through August. Did that capture Mrs. Beveridge? All right, excellent. Thank you.
All right, very well, Mrs. Beveridge. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, if not, then we can move on to item 17, which are comments by citizens on non-agenda items, and we have received no comments on non-agenda items from citizens. And now we're to item 18, comments by WIU Board of Directors. Do any of you have any comments for tonight's meeting? Any issues, any concerns? Apparently, you do not, so then we can move on to adjournment. We need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So move, Sarnice.
Second, Maines.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned.
Aye.